Hey there. How are you doing? I hope that you can see me. This is my first live broadcast that I believe on Facebook. Maybe I did it one time before. But I had to come out and do something and say what needs to be said. I'm going to take a minute just to tell you why I'm saying what I'm saying. What is this thing saying? Tap to invite viewer to be in your broadcast. What does that mean? What does that mean? Can somebody put on Facebook, what does it mean to tap and invite the viewer to your, well, I'm just going to tap it. All right. And so, my name is Deron Cloud, and I'm a Washington, D.C. native since I've lived here a long time. But I'm from Cleveland, and I've had a plight and a pretty good life. And this would say low battery, but I'm going to get it through. Had a pretty good life. And I'm just going to jump right into it. On Sunday, I was cleaning my office, and hold on, I'm reading what this says. Oh, if you wanted to add someone else to the broadcast, thank you. I got it. Thank you. And so I think it was Sunday, or no, it was Saturday, and I was cleaning my office, and then I remembered that the match was going to be on with Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka. Now, in my ignorance, all I saw was the word Naomi, and I said, let me turn this on because it's going to be two black women playing each other. And this is going to be great. And then I had seen a couple of little things as I walked past ESPN, but I had no idea that this woman was from Japan. And so I have been a great fan of Serena in the sense I've seen how she, on some of her matches, had a notebook, and some people with a really serious lens, a telephoto lens, was able to take her picture of her notes from a long distance. And these were the notes that she was reading before her game. And I can't remember what they were, but they were mental notes for her mind. And in them being mental notes for her mind, she was keeping her mind focused. And this is like in midway through her career. And I admired it because I've had to do the same thing. And I said, wow. And now, although she's an incredible player, I had to say to myself, no, for real, this woman really has to work hard to do what she does. And so on Saturday, and I'll cut to the chase, on Saturday when I sat down to watch the match, I thought I was going to be able to read and do a little studying and watch the match. But it got really intense. If you haven't seen it, it got really intense. And by now, unless you live somewhere that's off this earth, we now know what happened to her and what she experienced, and also what Naomi Osaka experienced. And I'm going to tell you, I cried during once they started doing certain things, and once she began to respond, there were some looks in her eyes that I had seen before. I had seen it with my wife. I had seen it in my daughter. I had seen it in myself. And I had seen it in anyone who knew, wait a minute, I can't believe that this is happening. And so I watched her plead her case, and I watched the whole thing. And I'm not going to get into all the anger per se. I just watched her go through what she was going through. And I really began to pray that she would maintain and keep her composure, because I understand what it means to be broken, meaning to allow the outside entities to break your concentration because they don't want you to win. And I actually began to really root. And once she told the judges, this is not fair. And she said, you know, this wouldn't happen to a woman. And because I've written shows, she's fabulously 40 and over, and I've written shows, boyfriend, girlfriend thing. I've written so many shows on relationship, two angry people in love, going through hell. A lot of these shows I wrote out of the direct understanding of one falling in love with a strong woman. Her name is Jill Cloud. I call her a black girl named Jill. And when I met her, what turned me on about her was that she was smarter than me. What turned me on about her, that she could figure the plot out in the movie while we were looking at the movie or at the movies before I could. Now, I know that may sound egotistical, but back then I'm 21, 22 or something of that nature. No, probably 23 at that point. And I said, I like her. And so this is why we always hear, well, you know, there's a song, I can't think of their name. Your love is like the Holy Ghost. Because that brother, once he experienced the love of a woman, he could only equate that to a deep spiritual experience with God. And I remember we were best friends first. And I wasn't even attempting to date her, and she wasn't attempting to date me in that point. We were just talking on the phone and being really cool with each other. That's when we talked on the phone. Fast forward, I said to her, I don't know what I'm going to do if you get married, because he's going to have to understand we're friends. And this is when she gave me a glimpse of who she would be and who she is. She said, without hesitation, well, if I was to marry someone, I couldn't be your friend. She said, because I'm not going to be having that kind of conversation with somebody. And I'm married. And I was arrogant, and I said, so he going to have to understand then. I'm sorry, he just going to have to understand. And she was like, And so, I want y'all to hear, she wasn't playing games. There was no marriage. We were just great friends. That's why we have a lesson called Friends First. And it says in the Song of Solomon, my lover, my friend. We had it in our wedding vows, that same thing. And so, and let me say this. I prayed for one. Excuse me, my thing. I prayed for one. That's what I prayed for. God, I don't want a bunch, I just want one. And he blessed me with one. And so I had to keep a vow, because I wasn't going to do what none of the brothers in my family line had done. I was going to be faithful. And I've been faithful to her. We've been married, I I think 26 years in a row. 26 years in a row. And so out of that, I learned that she was just as strong as me. And so now I'm going to go through some stuff and talk about it. I'm so upset that my phone is getting ready to cut off. And so if it does cut off, I'm going to charge, and I'm going to come back and finish whatever I can't finish. But I'm hearing, let's get started now when my battery's at 10%, because I'm not going to get up in the middle of this and plug all that stuff up. So let me show you what I have learned. And this can go for any woman who's strong and oppressed or who has been shut down by stuff. One of the reasons we have several generations of weak men is a direct result of how the church and the world has handled the Word of God when it comes to dealing with women and working with women, especially the church and the world in its treatment of women. See, we do not understand that Proverbs 31 was written by a woman to her son. And it was about a warrior woman who transforms her family, her community, her culture around her. And her mother was basically saying, listen, there are a bunch of hoes out here. I don't want you to be caught up in that. There are a bunch of, whores out here. And I don't want you to be caught up in that. So let me tell you what this virtuous woman is. And what she was saying, she said, let me tell you what a virtuous woman is. And so that's what Proverbs 31 is about. And so it says, the man who finds a wife finds a good thing. I have become a student of Hebrew, which is the original language that the Bible was written in. And it says, the man who finds a wife, in many versions, finds a good thing, or what is good. But when you go back and understand what it's talking about, as we keep going, it's saying the man who finds a wife finds a warrior. Now, what does that mean? Proverbs 18, 18:22, he who finds a true and faithful wife finds a good thing and obtains favor and approval from the Lord. See, my wife added to my life, and my wife is the reason I have favor from God. Proverbs 31 is not about a good, nice woman who stands behind her man, or a good, nice woman who stands beside her man. Proverbs 31 is about a powerful woman, a powerful woman. When you read in the Bible about men and women, you must understand they normally, especially in marriage, talk about it in military terms. Why? Because the church changed the culture to make her docile. The church changed the culture, and let me say this, and wove a whole bunch of stuff together. And unfortunately, her reputation has become one of the weaker vessel. I ain't got time to get into that right now. But that ain't got nothing to do with her being weak. My wife is stronger than me. And I know I'm strong, but I know she's stronger than me. And so, but the reputation she had is women are weak, used as objects of pleasures, recipients of males' rage, and they're hysterical. And this has been cultivated into generation after generation when it comes to women. She's been relegated to a sex object. We as men are in clubs watching her dance to feed her kids. I'm not going to get into why, her choice or whatever, but if you read the story of many of our dancers out here, God bless their souls, they say, I'm trying to feed my children and take care of myself. And so I can't judge her. I don't know what her path is or her past is, but I must show her decency. And so if she's been reduced to dance, because statistically, if you look at it, she has to drink, some of them, and do drugs just to get past the humiliating part of it in the beginning until they become numb to it. But that's a whole nother story. And again, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just talking about some realities. But the problem is, if you were a true man, you would not be entertained by a woman and telling her to make it rain. Period. Why? Because you would understand the nature of a woman, you would understand what she goes through, and you would understand, wait a minute. It's not right. Why? Because we got men, we in strip clubs, and we got daughters. And somehow we can use some kind of cognitive dissonance and not connect. That's somebody's daughter. Now, let me get up here and tell you, I'm not going to tell you that I didn't look at porno, because I did. I'm not going to tell you that I didn't have to break my addiction to porno and all these things. But when my heart got touched, I realized, and when I looked into the eyes of that woman that was on that porno thing, she was hurt. And because as a pastor, I've had to deal with the aftermath of abuse, the aftermath of abandonment, the aftermath of rejection that a lot of these sisters feel. Period. Women. I had to say, God, forgive me, because I didn't know. And so we talk about making it rain. It's our turn, my brothers, to make it rain. Now, remember, I said, if this cuts off, I'm going to get off, go charge, put the charger in my battery, but I want to flow, and then I'll just pick up where I left off. See, it's our time to make it rain for her. And how would you make it rain for her? By paying your child support that's in the rears. How would you make it rain for her? By purchasing the shoes that she's asked you to purchase, or the school clothes. How would you make it rain for her? Even if she had an attitude, for the sake of the children, you would learn how to be civil so that you could get through and y'all could communicate. How would you make it rain for her? By changing the game and treating her as a queen, not an object, not somebody you can cuss out, not somebody you can passive-aggressively push around because you're angry. Here's how, listen, brother, shut up. Don't you be sitting there tripping. You don't even know what I'm talking about and where I'm going. And if you feel like I'm talking about you, then I'm talking about you, man. Listen to this wisdom, brother. I'm 52 years old, been married 27 years in a row. I know what the heaven I'm talking about. And if you just pay attention to what I'm saying, you will understand this is how you love the strong woman that you hooked up with or connected with in the beginning. I digress. Excuse me. Here's how you make it rain for her: by showing her empathy, by showing her you understand. In my show, I believe it's #BrotherHardKnocks. When a man loves a woman, he must love her hurt and her pain without hugging her fears. You've got to love all of her. You've got to understand that she has many different things that put her together. And that's why when we hear the song, Pieces of Me, and I was supposed to have that right too. And if it's too loud, somebody text me on the thing or whatever y'all call this thing and tell me it's too loud. But I want to play this while I'm talking before this battery cut off. And so I had to learn how to love all of her. And I had this tendency, when she wanted to talk about her hurt and her pain, I would get upset and bothered. But that was the pieces of her. That was who she was. And so I want you to understand that her pieces are the hurts she encountered before you. Some of her pieces are the hurt she felt before she met you. And so her pain is something she has tried to get away from. See, if you understand, she can be really mean or bothered and go off on you when you cut up. Why? Because the truth of the matter is, when she accepted you into her life, she was saying, you bring peace to my mind. When she allowed you to come stay with her, she was saying, your presence brings peace to me. And if she brings peace to you, you must accept all pieces of her. So her loving is really saying, and an indication that your presence diminishes my past pain just a little bit. Now, when you love her, I had to learn how to love my wife without hugging her fears. In other words, I would discern what was love and make a decision. Okay, this is love. This is her fear. This is what she has to get through. And she has to overcome her own fear. But at the same time, she needs to know that I'm there. See, I used to have that passive-aggressive thing when she was hurt or when she was on her period to try to stay on the opposite end of the house. Now, menopause, that's a whole nother subject, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But no, even in that, I don't even mention that word in this house. I used to mention, oh, I know why you acting like this, because you on your period. I vowed I would never say that to her or another woman again, because it's not respectful. It's not respectful at all, but I'm going to leave that alone. You have to understand, a strong woman has fears. And sometimes there are days and moments where she's weighed down by anxiety. And when she's weighed down by anxiety, she has totally learned how to deal with her fears her own self, or with her by herself. But if you love her hurt and you show her empathy, and empathy is to put yourself in someone else's shoes, is to let her know, I understand what you feel. See, I used to argue back and forth and go back and forth and prove every point. Let me just turn this off. Prove every point. And it just lasted for days. But now I show her empathy. Before we even talk, I listen to what she's saying. So first I can get inside of her, not physically, but spiritually, so that I can change what it is that she's telling me that needs to be changed. See, if you ever see these older brothers in wheelchairs, they're getting pushed around and they ain't, giving up a whole bunch of fight, because they've understood this woman is stronger than me, and I understand that. And it has happened already just because of the battle that I've had with cancer, that I've had to rely on my wife. And I'm so glad that I loved all her pieces, because she ain't helping me out of regret. So let me just keep going, you guys. Now, this choice of showing empathy is a challenge for a man. Why? Because many of us have been robbed of our true manhood. Many of us have been robbed of what a real man is, based upon culture, based upon everything we've gone through. And so when you're robbed of your manhood through the systemic system of oppression, we've lost the meaning of what it means to be a leader. She needs you to help her make decisions. But, I don't have a job. Listen, being a leader don't mean that you are the breadwinner. Being a leader means you know how to access that thing within you the same way she accesses it within herself to help lead her family when she's by herself. And so she has an expectation of you to lead, for you to be the progenitor, for you to be the warrior protector, for you to make the decision where we're going. But if you focused on ESPN, if you focused on fantasy football or fantasy porno or the Instagram and all these different things, you don't have time to be dialed into her. One day I'm going to talk about what I had to realize. You've got to be into her. But let me just keep going. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this, and I'm trying to get through before this thing come up and tell me my battery is really low. So some men instead of being that protector, we've chosen the current trends that victimize women. Some men who themselves have lost the opportunity, their own opportunities, because of the neglect of their purpose, or they were playing ball, or they were out there playing around instead of doing what they have to do. There are some men who've lost their opportunity through neglect or through just hard times going through, and have instead not become helpers, but leeches. Now, I'm going to be honest, man, because I've studied this for a long time, trying to figure out what's happening in these relationships. And so I'm not going to say leech. Here's what I call them: peaceful survivors. And a peaceful survivor is someone who needs a place to stay. And they'll change up long enough so you don't put them out. But they don't switch up on how they talk. Or they do 2-week turnarounds. And they survive peacefully on your resources. There was a time when I didn't work and Jill was going to work, but there was no problem in me taking the lead. And when I say lead, I'm not saying I'm the head of the house. No, I don't even go with that daggone stuff, because some of y'all be talking about that, and we'll deal with that one day. That ain't even what they talking about per se. I didn't step off. Let me keep going. What she doesn't need when you love a strong woman is not a 2-week turnaround. In other words, she got to holler at us, go off, threaten to put us out, threaten that she moving, threaten that she gonna take her car or anything of this thing, and then we change. And it's a 2-week turnaround, 3 weeks until the heat comes down. And I'm gonna tell you, the pain of a strong woman is now to be hated by the very man she sacrificed for. To be treated in such a way with disrespect for the very man she sacrificed for. She sacrificed often for us, especially the strong women, for us who have gone through, us who have been traumatized, for us who have lost their jobs, can't find one, whatever, and she gives her life up in hopes that you'll see her sacrifice. But I'm going to tell you, sister, you can't love the pain out of a man who has shame. He has to deal with his own pain. I had this note: when you're a strong woman, you have a soft heart. I'm a strong man with a soft heart. But there comes a point where you say, I can't keep allowing my life to be ruled by this man's insecurities, because he hasn't done what he has to do. I understand your pain. I'm going somewhere. So she's often characterized as angry black. She's often characterized as hysterical because she expresses her emotions. Jill would often say, why can't I say what I need to say and this not be about you? Because I was always on the preparation moment of not being hurt by her and her words. I had to grow up and stop allowing words of truth to hurt me, but allow it to penetrate me so I could correct myself. If it sounds like I'm being pompous or anything, I've been married to a strong woman for almost 27 years in a row. And I vowed, I just want one. That's why I don't care. And listen, I may look a little woofy and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care about sisters who may try to holler or whatever the case may be. And you may say, they might try to holler at you. Sometimes they don't even mess with me because I have a look like, don't even come over here. Don't even look this way. It's the same thing when a woman has a man. You can tell when a woman has a man because she'll never look at you when she's satisfied. Or she could have a woman and she'll never look at you. Times have changed. Come on. Where you at, baby? Many of us are envious of the women we are with. First, we're thankful. I need a woman like you, a strong woman like you to make my life better. But we tend to, how soon we forget that. We said that in the beginning. We get envious. Why? Because we as men often take advantage. Let me go back. If we really want to understand her, when we choose to understand her, we will take advantage of all opportunities that we missed by using her. You got to touch heaven for yourself. You got to touch the universe for yourself. You got to find it for yourself, because after a while, she gets tired of giving of herself. And let me tell you something about a strong woman. They may be strong, but they still cry in private. They still cry at night. And if you're not careful, you'll get so caught up in her being strong that you forget to understand. She got feelings, man. She got emotions, man. And she's got some stuff she done been through that she ain't never told you. Why? Because you couldn't handle it. But she's able to handle that because she's a strong woman. Let me get on down to this thing. Let me get on down this thing. Let me get down. Shh. Oh, Lord, I knew that was going to happen. My granddaughters have come home. My granddaughters come home, but I'm going to still keep talking. In the cage. In the cage. It's over. She's getting ready to come in, and so I'm going to do as best as I can. All right. Hold on. Let me do something. Hey, Jill. Oh, my goodness. Take her straight to the room, please. I only got a couple more minutes, and I'll be ready. All right. Here's what I want you to understand for now, and then I'm going to charge my phone and come back. When they talk about the virtuous woman, they're talking about the warrior woman. They're talking about Ishet Hael. So a woman of virtue is not a good, nice woman. Virtue was a military term talking about courage, talking about the ability to be strong. And so when she, in Hebrew, when it says she's the Ishet Hael, what this is really saying is that we've been taught for years, a virtuous woman, but it means a woman of valor, strength of mind, spirit that enables a woman to encounter danger with great courage in the face of it, especially in battle. And so when you choose a wife, you choose one that can fight beside you. You choose one who can fight along beside you. But I want you to also understand is that when she is the Ishet Hael, what that means, she is the one who shows up when you're in danger. See, what you have to understand when you're married to a strong woman, back in the day when the men did the hunting and the women stayed at home, she'd have to hold the fort down. And she'd have to be willing to fight off any attackers or anybody that would show up. And so when you are together, this ain't no hookup. This is a commitment to handle war together and make it through. Who shall find a virtuous woman? Who can find a virtuous woman? Meaning, who can find a strong woman of valor who can fight and throw down? That's what this is about. And the day I stopped despising her strength, and acknowledging her strength, and having no need to be right, but realizing I chose her so she could teach me how to think. Why? Because I needed the Spirit. I'll never forget. One day, it was probably a year to 2 years in our marriage. I said, I finally heard from God. And he sounds like my wife. So here's what I'm going to close out with. Be strong. Don't let them break you. Here's what I'm going to encourage you, brother. Humble yourself. We had this book on our website at the Soul Factory. I think it's called Humility. Humble yourself. Now, we still have some skirmishes here and there, but I don't argue with her. Why? Because we're friends first. And I realize some of us treat our dogs and our best friends better than the woman who loves us between our toes. And so when you have a strong woman, instead of responding, please tell me and reacting, what do you mean by that? Now, what am I going to tell you? There are some women that are out of control. And I have no advice for you, brother, not in this broadcast. And there are some women who are angry and over the top. Now, most of them have a right to be hostile, but they have to learn how to be gracious like Serena. That was a champion. She was not going to give full vent to her anger, and you must know that she was suffering, but she didn't give full vent to her anger. And my daughter's a doctor, and I told her, you speak the truth that you know, but you don't have to speak it in disrespectful terms. But if you can manage your heat, sweetheart, because I want you to understand this world don't give a damn about you. And so therefore, you're going to have to fight, and they're going to always try to take from you. But you got to have the eye of the tiger and go to the top. So I believe I'm completed what I said thus far. I'm going to come back later. I got a little tired. Yeah, I got a little tired. Pray for me. You know, I'm currently in the battle for my life when it comes to cancer. And I'm believing God that I am beating it. And I'm believing God that I've already been healed. But it's the best thing that has ever happened in my life. Why? Because it brought me to me. It brought me to the real me. And it brought an intimacy with my wife and with my friends and with God that I've never had before. And I've made a decision that I'm no longer going to not talk about what I'm thinking about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage the brothers. I'm going to encourage the sisters. And I ain't out of here until this body is completely done. So here's what I challenge you. Cut your drama out. Adhere to the truth. Let me tell you something the decision I told my wife today. We was having one of our heated discussions. And then I said, listen, here's what I'm going to do. I said, I'm understanding some of the words that I'm saying are provoking you to anger, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So I said, bring God. I've learned to bring God into our arguments, meaning listen to the Spirit while I'm there. And I told her, I said, I've learned to go through this battle with cancer and be able to teach on Sundays with low energy and be able to connect because I honor God. But I've just understood I'm not honoring God in you if I can't take my time like I do with my lessons and take an opportunity to understand what you're saying. So here is my vow to you. You ain't gonna ever see me override you with volume or anything of that nature again. Why? You don't deserve this. You don't deserve to be treated like this. We're friends. And I said, and so I'm not going to get into apologize because it wasn't something I had to apologize for. But I said, what I am going to say, though, I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. And you know why she believes me when I say that? Because whenever I say that, she know I'm going to touch heaven so there can be peace. Why? Because I don't need her to bite her tongue. I don't need her to pull her sentences back. I need to hear what she has to say. She is my life. She is my friend. She is my soulmate. And and I'm telling you, this is years of wisdom, brother. It'll take you a while to get here, but you can get there fast. And I'm there fast because she would ask me. People basically say, you treat your friends better than you treat me. And I had to realize I'm more patient with my boys or the brothers in my life than I am my wife. And Sunday saying to self, my girl. I think I need to put some lip stuff on. I don't even care no more. Hopefully the wisdom got to you. So now I don't know how many people came on who watched or whatever the case may be. Strong sister, be strong. Be strong. Don't apologize for who you are. Just learn how to operate in the truth. And learn how to handle the stuff that's against you peacefully and gracefully. Like Serena did at the end of that match. I wept because I understand what it means to be a true champion. I understand what it means to have to take the high road when you know they out to get you. And just say, no more booing. This is her turn. It's your turn. It's your time. Hashtag, sister, I'm standing up for you. Love you. And I beat you to it. Father, I thank you for this time, and I pray that someone heard what was being said. I pray that you give me the strength to continue to bring these messages. A little something, something in the spirit. Woo! So I'm going to figure out how to stop this broadcast. I don't even know how to stop this thing. Can y'all text me something on here and tell me on this thing how to... Oh, it says finish. Okay. Hey, I love y'all, man. And all y'all who went to the church or we've met through plays and all that, I got this saying. I learned it from Bishop Perrin's wife, Pastor Liz. I love you, and I beat you to it. God bless you.